At some point in time, I've been sort of thinking more and more. One would hope that there is going to be some accounting for, or at least just like the simple realization that the president of the United States is not acting like an innocent person and is not acting like a stable person. And I mean, even from the right, even if they will continue to defend him, as they no doubt will, it would be great just to get that acknowledgement or see them acquiesce to that simple reality. But regardless of what you think about Donald Trump's tax policy or what he's doing on trade or whatever, we are increasingly noticing that the behavior that is visible publicly is not normal. And the latest exhibit in this is that Donald Trump burst on Twitter, is the best word I can think of for it, tweeting 80 times yesterday, including dozens already by 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, mostly about the FBI, impeachment, disinformation, and lies in a completely uncontrolled and irrational way, mirroring the hypomanic behavior that mental health professional Dr. John Gartner told us about last week. We've wondered about, like, what is the process for Donald Trump tweeting? Because we know that in some cases, he will dictate his tweets to someone in the next room. But when there's a dozen retweets in a half hour, or when he is sending tweet after tweet after tweet, it doesn't seem like that's happening via dictation to someone in the next room over. It seems like this is actually Donald Trump on his phone, like a maniac, just tweeting and tweeting and retweeting. Now, if I were to summarize the 80 tweets for you, it's difficult to do, but I would summarize them as a combination of insults, rumors, attacks, unsubstantiated conspiracy theories, and lies, maybe with some disinformation thrown in there. Certainly not presidential in any sense of the word, however it is that you describe it. So let's start digging into a little bit of what went on yesterday. By 11:30 a.m. yesterday morning, Eastern time, Donald Trump had already tweeted or retweeted more than 30 times, and it continued all day, reaching 80 tweets in a day. I don't pretend to be the busiest person in the world, but I am way too busy to tweet 80 times in a day. I have to find time to make 3, 4, 5 tweets and retweets in combination. Sometimes I don't even have the time. Sometimes at 10 p.m., I might send one retweet out with a comment because I'm so busy that that's not even possible. And I'm not even really that busy. This is the president of the United States, and he tweeted 80 times yesterday. Now, to set up the stage for Donald Trump doing this, as you may know, as you probably have heard by now, House Democrats have unveiled 2 articles of impeachment, which are actually being debated right now in the House Judiciary Committee as we produce today's program. And many of the tweets, really almost all of the tweets, are in some way related to that, other than the occasional tweet bragging about this, that, or the other thing. So, for example, Donald Trump retweeting a post about Democrats are running a kangaroo court, which was posted by bomb-throwing Congressman Jody Hice, which said, how House Democrats run a kangaroo court: ignore the rules, untrue; refuse to recognize legitimate objections, untrue, and this is how it works; steamroll the minority and railroad Donald Trump. This entire impeachment has been a farce without any semblance of fairness for a minority or presidential response. So there are so many lies here and so many distortions. Of course, in general, this is not true in the sense that House Democrats have followed the rules that are in place. Some of those rules were established by Republicans. They did the closed door hearings correctly. They've done the public hearings correctly. This is a farce, generally speaking. But what you really need to understand here is that, number one, when Jody Hice says they've done this without a presidential response, Jerry Nadler invited Trump or whoever he designates to participate in the Judiciary Committee hearings. They turned it down. And of course, Republicans said, well, the participation would not have been fair because the majority oppresses the minority. Do not fall for that, okay? The question is, have the rules been followed? Because this game that they play, Democrats play it as well, okay? Whoever is in the minority in the House doesn't control the agenda in the House, doesn't control the committees. That's how it works. This is how the system is designed. And anytime anything is going on in the House of note, you will see whoever is in the minority party at the time say, we are being steamrolled by the majority. This is not the way checks and balances are supposed to work. This is so unfair, so on and so forth. This is the way the game is set up. If it's unfair, the entire system is unfair all the time, even when Republicans as the majority have used the rules to, quote, oppress the minority. Change the rules, many of which Republicans established. So this is how they distort. And low information people, or just, I'm not saying that pejoratively, people who are just busy living their lives making ends meet, they will see something like, well, it's true. I mean, Trump hasn't said anything. Trump has to tweet because he can't go in and participate. He's been invited and he's turned it down. His lawyers have been invited. They've been directed not to go. And of course, this entire idea of steamrolling the minority is a tried and true complaint that whoever is in the minority position will use. Here we have an impeachment, so the stakes are high, I understand, but there is nothing unique about these complaints. Okay, another retweet example, and don't worry, I'm not going to go through all 80 tweets like this. Another retweet example from Congressman Lee Zeldin, who tweeted, with this disgusting impeachment charade, I mean, of course, it's just impeachment. It's a constitutionally enshrined and outlined mechanism. With this disgusting impeachment charade, House Democrats have proven themselves guilty of abuse of power and obstruction of Congress. This is a new line from Republicans. Last night, I did a stream when the House Judiciary was starting the debate on impeachment. Yesterday, it was just 5-minute opening statement after opening statement. This is now a line that they are repeating, which is the Democrats' handling of the impeachment inquiry is actually the real wrongdoing that they accuse Donald Trump of. Now, of course, it's not true. The idea of Congress obstructing Congress is kind of a weird concept in and of itself. But more importantly, this is the normal projection that we're used to seeing Republicans do. Whatever they are accused of, they simply accuse the other side, Democrats, Obama, whoever, of doing that exact same thing. Donald Trump also retweeting all sorts of other far-right figures. There's one guy named Tom Fitton. You can Google him if you're curious, and many, many others. But it wasn't just retweets yesterday and Donald Trump tweeting 80 times in one day. Trump also tweeting things himself. For example, attacks on other public officials riddled with lies. Quote, Shifty Schiff, a totally corrupt politician, made up a horrible and fraudulent statement, read it to Congress, and said those words came from me. He got caught, was very embarrassed, yet nothing happened to him for committing this fraud. He'll eventually have to answer for this. I think the only accurate thing in that tweet is the correct spelling of Adam Schiff's last name. Despite being called Adam Schiff by many people, his last name was correctly spelled in the tweet, and that's all I can identify that is actually accurate. Schiff didn't make up a statement. He wasn't caught, embarrassed. This is another calculated strategy from Republicans, which is go after Adam Schiff. Why isn't Adam Schiff here testifying at the House Judiciary Committee? We hear that time and time again during the Judiciary Committee hearings. Of course, Schiff is on the Intelligence Committee, not the Judiciary Committee. When will Schiff testify? Well, why would Adam Schiff testify in this entire thing? This is another line that Republicans and Trump and people around Trump have been repeated. Where is Adam Schiff? He's missing. He won't show up. He's lying. He's fabricating documents. He should be investigated and possibly punished. I'm not going to subject you to all 80 of Donald Trump's tweets and retweets. If you're so inclined, you can review them yourself. But the highlights are lies and disinformation. This is not the behavior of an innocent person. This is not the comportment of a stable person. Blame anyone but yourself for anything you can think of. And again, 80 tweets in a day, including dozens by 11:30 in the morning. When you suspect someone uses uppers and you see what appears to be a manic hyper use of social media, certainly, once again, it raises those questions about what exactly is going on with Donald Trump. What I hope people understand is that this is how Trump has operated his entire adult business career. Blame other people. Shift responsibility to somebody else. Buy or coerce your way out of problems. Intimidate your way out of problems. Pass the buck whenever possible. Count on the justice system to work well for you because you're rich and it usually works very well for the rich. This time, it's turning out to be a little bit harder to get away with it because Donald Trump is president of the United States after all, but he still might get away with it. And that's the worst part of it. Eventually, when you look at the Hollywood movie, the spoiled brat who's mean and a bully eventually gets held to account by the little guy, by society, whatever. Eventually, the strong man has a downfall, and the underdog or the people or whatever get their day, right? This is not a screenplay. This is real life. And in real life, we have two justice systems, and Donald Trump may well end up getting away with this. The narcissistic, spoiled brat who in the movies, in the great American novel, whatever, right? Eventually, when you write the story, they have consequences. They experience consequences for what they do. This is not a movie. Our system is not a movie. It's designed to let the rich, privileged bullies do whatever they want and very often get away with it. So that is the unfortunate reality that we are dealing with right now. Let me know your thoughts about all of this if you've been watching the Judiciary Committee debate about the impeachment articles. I am on Twitter at @dpakman. You can send me a message there. Please follow me there. You can also, if you're watching on YouTube, just leave a reply as a comment, remembering, of course, to like this video as well. We'll take a quick break. We have a lot to discuss today. I'm glad you're with us.